Hi everyone, I'm going live with a really important conversation following the one I did earlier. Give me a minute to get my very special guest. Okay, I have just invited a really amazing woman to join, and I'm assuming she is going to say yes any second. I never know what to do in these moments when I'm going live with someone and they haven't joined yet. So, hi. I might try this again. Hang on. Okay, I've just sent the request again. You know, someone just wrote, have them join before going live. I don't think it works that way. We can't do that. It says she is unable to join. Okay, let me try one more time. Hoping third time's a charm and this works. Yay, okay. I got you. Sorry that took a bit. So,
hi, Sheryl.
Boring everyone. Okay, I didn't even want to introduce you until you got on here, but I'm so just excited to have you on. I am joined by Dr. Deepmala Malla. She's the vice president and she leads all humanitarian aid and humanitarian affairs at CARE, which is an incredible organization. I've been supporting CARE for some time now. I've had an opportunity to travel with CARE in Jordan, get to see their work firsthand, and where there is conflict, where there is poverty, where there are challenges, CARE goes in and provides emergency assistance and ongoing support for everyone with a special focus on women and children. So obviously we're here to talk about Afghanistan, which is front and center in your mind. So thank you. I know how busy you are, so thank you for taking the time to be with us as we are all so focused on what we can do to help everyone, but especially women and girls in Afghanistan.
Thank you, Sheryl, and greetings to everybody who's given us your time and attention on this very critical issue, because the situation is extremely dire. So thanks a lot, Sheryl, for your support today and always.
So CARE has been working in Afghanistan since 1961, which is before I was even born, and likely I bet before you were born. And you have almost 500 people on the ground there. It's one of the reasons I chose to put my fiance and I, Tom, chose CARE to give some of our emergency funding to, because you have a presence, you are on the ground, you are doing great work. Can you tell our audience about CARE's work in Afghanistan, both obviously historically, but I think everyone's really focused on what's happening right now. What are you doing right now?
Absolutely, Sheryl. So yes, CARE has been in Afghanistan since 1961. And yes, I can assure you and everybody, I was also not born by then. And CARE is present not only in Kabul, but in several provinces. And we have around 500 people who are CARE staff working 24/7, I would say, because we are humanitarians. And majority of our staff, I would say over 99%, are from Afghanistan. In fact, not only from Afghanistan, they are usually from the same area, same community. And it really helps us in having a strong understanding of what the communities need, what the women and girls need, what the families need. These relationships, these real strong understanding of the context, how it is evolving, really helps us. CARE has been doing work on various sectors to help vulnerable communities, including education, health, supporting young people with income and livelihoods. And when I say education, children go to school. That's what most of us imagine. That's not always the case. Oftentimes, children are not able to go to school because of insecurity, fighting, snow, economic condition. So we work with our partners, we bring school to children. We start working with home-based education, community-based education, and whenever a disaster strikes like drought or flash floods, our teams are on the ground providing, non-food items, food items, including things like mattresses, shelter, tarpaulins, jerry cans, buckets. And in the COVID response, our teams were very actively working in providing people information, because that's the most powerful thing. How you can protect yourself from COVID, helping them with referrals, supporting the health facilities, providing hygiene items. So I would say CARE's response or support in Afghanistan covers a range of topics, including livelihood and public health and emergency disaster relief. However, all of it is totally centered to what the communities want, what is best for women and girls.
So can you talk a little bit about what you see and what you hear from the ground, from the people on the ground in Afghanistan? What's happening right now, and what is the kind of support you're providing?
The situation is nothing but dire. It's a humanitarian catastrophe, Sheryl, by every stretch of imagination. And we are talking about people who've seen war over 4 decades. And a severe drought was just very recent. Second one, in only 4 years' time. So 18.4 million people were already in urgent need of humanitarian assistance, help from everybody. And then the recent instability and the events which happened, it has exacerbated the situation. This year alone, about 600,000 people have been displaced, meaning they have been forced to flee their homes. In the entire country over the past few years, over 5 million people have been displaced, forced to flee their homes. And let us remember, it's not once. Sometimes they are displaced multiple times, mostly due to reasons which are out of their control. And let's think, why would a family or a mother make a decision to leave her home, leave her everything? Because that unknown journey feels safer than her own home. Just imagine what that feels like. And what will they take with them? I have met so many displaced people, refugees in my life. I have even heard if they are able to take their children with them, they think that they are lucky. So right now, a lot of people are fleeing from their homes. Children are missing vaccination, missing schooling. Some are already malnourished in hospitals, whatever is left of the hospital facilities. Some are even weak enough. If you give them your hand, they won't be able to grasp it. And over 300 children have been forced to flee their homes. 1 in 3 Afghans, 1 in 3, that's a lot. They are already at emergency levels of food security, what we say in our humanitarian world, meaning people don't have enough to eat. And lastly, let me say, if something is not done urgently, 1 million children will be facing severe acute malnutrition. So the situation is dire. The humanitarian imperative is biggest. Everybody needs to come together. If not now, I wonder when.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I was about to say something, and someone named Ivan Alek just put this comment into our thread. I had a chance to visit Lesbos, Greece, where a lot of Jordanian refugees were going across the water. It was the first port of entry into Europe, and there's something called the Lifeboat Graveyard. And it's a misleading thing. There's like 1 million life jackets, but those are the people that made it because they were able to take their life jacket. And we read a poem, and someone just put a line in there, which is, no one puts their children in a boat. And these aren't boats. These are dinghies, rafts, unless the water is safer in the land. No one is leaving their homes in Afghanistan unless that journey is safer than where before. So whenever there's a tragedy like this, it hits all of us really hard. But I think the situation here for women and girls is, in many ways, one of the absolute worst we could face. I watched this incredible YouTube video of a young woman who was a YouTube star, and she was in her beautiful pink sari, and she then 3 days later was wearing, the very severe black hijab, and then she was killed. She was in that airport. And what she said was that we wanted our freedom, we wanted our education, we fought for this, and it's all being taken away from us. And certainly the news we're hearing, even things like sports coming out of Afghanistan, is so devastating for women and girls. Can you just talk a little bit so everyone makes sure we all understand what is at stake and risk for women and girls here?
That's a tremendously important question, Sheryl, not only for you and me, not only for our listeners, not only for Afghanistan, but the world. And let me start by saying, when the future and lives of women and girls are at stake, humanity is at stake. So it is not only for the sake of those women and girls, but for everybody. So as you've already pointed out, there is anxiety, there is fear of the unknown, what is going to come. There might be some people anticipate there are worries that will women be able to continue with their education, with their higher jobs, with their future plans, their dreams, their goals in the way they want. It is an uncertain time. However, what we have seen is the women, I often hear this, the needs of women and girls. It's not about needs. Should never ever have been. It's about their rights. It's about who they are as human beings, what they want to do. So the situation right now, I would honestly say that it does feel very uncertain. And we truly, truly hope that the progress which has been made over the last 2 decades around their education, their aspirations, their health, their jobs, like, in my last trip to Afghanistan, and it's pretty common, you would find women working in banks. They would be, in so many workplaces, including schools, universities, television, radio. We truly hope that continues and that even prospers further down. And let me also say that I have met hugely inspiring and brave women there. And I remember there's a group of women who we were talking to in Kabul, and it's interesting for me to go to Afghanistan when I've been there in several provinces several times. They always like to talk to me about Bollywood films because they are very popular, and that's a popular discussion. And then I asked them, what would you like the world to know about you? And they said many things, but two things just stayed with me. First thing they said, peace is the main thing. Rest we'll manage. And the second thing which they said is, don't get misled by how we dress, how we speak, or how fast or how early we say. We will do anything and everything to secure the future of our country and our children. So all these things give me hope, Sheryl, our interactions with women, that we will be able to make progress and continue this beautiful journey, which is not going to be easy by any standards because the country is facing a big humanitarian crisis.
Well, thank you. I was going to ask you what gives you hope, but you just answered that question. And it is knowing that as humans, we can prevail and people can overcome. And you've met people who have done it. I've asked there have been a bunch of questions in the thread of people watching this saying, what can we do to help? So I'm giving you a chance to answer that question. People out there really want to help. What can people do? Certainly you can donate to CARE. I did a birthday fundraiser for my 52nd birthday 2 weeks ago for CARE. It was by far my most successful fundraiser ever on Facebook. Certainly donating, and that may be part of your answer, but what else? What can people do to help?
A lot, actually. So in addition to what you have said, which is important because for humanitarians, we need the resources, advocate, stand for Afghans, raise your voice. And I would say the headlines might fade in few weeks or months. The humanitarian needs, the vulnerability of people is not going to fade when the media starts forgetting about it. So please remember, there is a beautiful country of brave people where right now over 18 million people need humanitarian assistance. As I said, 1 million children might be in a very, very complicated situation, and millions are out of their homes. So donate, advocate, remember, stand with Afghans. Together, we really need to help this country, and I truly believe we can. And Sheryl, what gives me hope? I'm a humanitarian. I do not know any other way. And I truly believe no one can uneducate a girl. The ones who have been educated They are going to pass this knowledge, this learning, this inspiration further. And I would say this interest, which we have from you, so many of our listeners, this also gives me hope that yes, we are not leaving Afghanistan on its own. It's a united world community. We are together in this.
I love that. You cannot take away education. That's right. Mala, thank you for your passion. Thank you for your work. Thank you for all you do. And thank you for both jumping in and giving us hope. Everyone out there who cares, we so appreciate it. And I think your point that I want to leave everyone with, that's exactly the right point, is this crisis is not going away. Right now it's front of mind, front of the news, on every program, but a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, it won't be. So it's up to the people like us who care to make sure that your work is front and center for all of us. Deepmala, you are a hero of mine. So is the amazing organization you serve. I'm super grateful you joined me today.
Thank you so much, Sheryl. Thanks, everybody.